Okay, so we're continuing this concept of how do I start flipping, rehabbing, wholesaling, and the questions you asked. So the first video was that this question of how do I start is an incomplete question, and that there are two parts to it. You need to know where you want to go, and we dealt with that in the last video. And the second part that you need to know before you ask is how much can you give to it. So a good example of a question of how do I start is, hey, how do I start wholesaling? I want to make an extra 50, 60 grand a year from it, and I can spend $300 a month and 2 days a week on it. That's a good example. So we're dealing with the second part of that. How much can you give? Now, this scares the shit out of people because they don't want to commit to something. They've been told on the internet that they can start wholesaling and in 60 days get a check for $12,000. So that's the money I'll spend on it. It's not that simple. It takes a long time. We're going to talk more about time, but you need to commit something to it. If you're going to wholesale in New York, you're buying properties cheap enough to sell to another investor. The only way to do that is to market direct to seller, and the only way to do that is to spend money. Now, if you have no money, you can partner up with somebody like us, and you can drive for dollars, and we'll help you, and we'll give you things to do, and we can work something out. But chances are you're going to need some money. You're going to need to buy a list. You're going to need to spend some money on mail or on calling or on texting, some way to contact a big number of people. And that's not 1,000 people either. That's like 10 or 20,000 people. And you need to contact them, and it costs money. It costs money to get the list usually. It costs money to reach them. It costs money to pay for some kind of system to capture them. And you need to commit some kind of cash or some kind of time or some combination thereof. You have to. You can't just say, I want to start. You can't go to somebody successful and say, how do I do what you do, and not commit. And we're going to talk more about really the people who are successful at this have just failed at it a lot more times than somebody who hasn't. That's the difference. And it costs money to fail, right? It costs money to call people, to spend money on marketing that may or may not work. You got to figure it's going to be 6 to 9 months before you really see any money out of your marketing. So you have to commit to it for a long time. You have to be consistent. You can't just mail a list once and say, I didn't get anything out of it. Lists have to be mailed to multiple times. There's a lot into it, and you have to commit time, usually a combination of time and money, if you want to get started. So the second part of the question of how to get started is you have to think, and this is not an easy thing to think about, but you have to think about what you can give towards this goal, time-wise and money-wise. It's not a simple question. You have to think about it and really decide what you're going to commit to it, time-wise, and how much you can spend out of your pocket on it.